Hey there, Normie Gardner here. So I just finished watching a Mouthy Buddha video, which I highly recommend. It's I'll link to it in the description. It's about how Facebook and other social media, conglomerates manipulate your emotions to sell you stuff. And I'm calling this a response video, but it's not a normal sort of response video because I don't really strongly disagree with Mouthy's video. I just think that that this is a start of something bigger, and I want to continue a conversation. So, at one point in the video, okay, when he is showing the nefarious things that Facebook does to manipulate your emotions. He says, "In my life, I found that it's when we're most focused and engaged on what we're doing that life has meaning." Okay, remember that, all right? Because when I heard that. This is what I mean when I say I want to continue this conversation. When I heard that, I thought, how? I mean, how? Let's talk about that. Because what does that mean, meaning? Okay? And why is the act of focusing and engaging on something suddenly make your life have meaning, or life in general have meaning? Well, let's talk about what meaning means, all right? Actually, let's wait. Let's talk about something else as well. At the very end of the video, Mouthy gives us a quote from the famous movie Dead Poet Society, and the scene in this movie is where Robin Williams plays a teacher of teenage boys in a private school, and he tells these boys, the dead are calling to you, the dead are telling you, seize the day, carpe diem, seize the day, make your lives extraordinary. And the implication is that gives your life meaning. Okay, let's talk about that as well. Let's talk about meaning. Let's talk about what meaning means. Now, I think the biggest mistake people make about this question is to make it too complicated as far as the definition of meaning is, because really the question of meaning is very, very simple. All right, if I have a stick with a hammer head at the end of it, I know what the meaning of that thing is. It's a hammer. It's to hammer in nails. If I have a metal frame with a seat on it and an internal combustion engine, I know what this thing's meaning is. It's to drive me around, okay? Meaning is the same thing as purpose, okay? So something that's like see that little piece of snow on the ground? There's no meaning to that snow. It was just shoved out of the way. It's meaningless, okay? But that stick there was a meaning to that. That was put there by somebody to make sure that the snowplow knew where the end of the sidewalk was. That stick has meaning. That snow doesn't. See what I mean? Meaning has got meaning is a simple question. So asking if your life has meaning, what gives it meaning? Well, the answer to that is you can't give your own life meaning. Somebody else or something else gives your life meaning. This is not rocket science. I mean, this is why people join the army. This is why people join Antifa. This is why people join the people fighting Antifa, and why they join cults, and why they join monasteries. Like they have a vocation to do something. All right. As for me, I'm married and I have kids, and a big part of the meaning of my life is to be a good husband, be a good provider, be a good dad to my kids. It takes up a lot of my time, and like a lot of my money and a lot of my emotional energy is into raising my children and being a good husband to my wife. So that gives my life meaning. I have a purpose, and I chose that meaning for myself. However, it's not like I give myself meaning every day. The thing controls me. I am following my vocation. I made a promise to my wife to be with her to the end of my life, and to raise kids together, and that promise is guiding me. The promise gives me meaning. I don't give the promise meaning. The promise gives me meaning. And do you see what I mean? Like, it's the same thing for any vocation. You can choose to join the army, but then the army gives your life meaning, gives your life purpose, because that's all meaning means. It means purpose. All right. Now, let's talk about the Dead Poet Society quote, because I think it's really important that we don't fall into this trap. And I guess I would I don't know how much meaning Mouthy meant for that last part, but I think it's too simple to say make your lives extraordinary. I mean, Godwin's law here. I know Hitler had an extraordinary life. He made his life extraordinary. Making your life extraordinary doesn't really give your life meaning. It just means that you make a bigger bang than everyone else. You know, it's a really telling example in that movie. Spoiler alert, if you've never seen it before. One of the students who takes Robin Williams, make your lives extraordinary, Carpe Diem. One of them who takes it the most seriously ends up killing himself for a very selfish reason. He has a temper tantrum and he kills himself because he has to go to military school and he can't be an actor, so he kills himself. He kills himself. He breaks his parents' hearts because he did. It is like, yeah, he made his life extraordinary by being an extraordinary asshole. And the movie plays it off as being like, oh, he's such an artist. I saw that even when I was a kid and I saw that, I was like, what a jerk. He just because he find his parents, find his body, and they're screaming and crying. It's like, why? Because you didn't want to go to military school? I'm so sorry. It was this. So the thing is that that's not, that makes your life meaningless. Making your life extraordinary and focusing on that, that's a very meaningless reason. It's as meaningless as fame. Fame gives your life no meaning at all. It's just, you can't give yourself meaning. All you can do is look for something else to give you meaning. That's the key. All right. So the only being independent gives you no meaning. We fetishize freedom so much in our society. When I was growing up, I believed for years that the most important thing about America is that we have freedom. It's like, no, that's not the most important thing. Because freedom by itself, it's good to have freedom, to be free to pursue happiness, but by itself, it's just an empty thing. It doesn't give your life meaning. And also, that's another question about freedom, because that's another whole video, what freedom really means. I don't think being free to do whatever you want actually you end up being enslaved to different things, whether it's drugs, sex, alcohol, pornography, or shopping, so freedom isn't really anything. It's not really anything. It's just doesn't give yourself meaning. I think we all have degrees of meaning in our lives, we all have a vocation, a job, marriage, a deeper vocation that gives our life meaning. But beyond that, when the job is done, when the marriage is done, we need answer again, what gives our life meaning? And then we have to think about where human beings come from and what we are, that's the only way to know that. So let's just be frank, okay? God versus no God. If there's no God, we have no ultimate meaning in our lives. I've said this before. It just is not, I don't see why this is such a hard thing to grasp, but people seem to not want to grasp it. It's just true. If there is no God and we are everything about us is only designed by, just random chance, then the only meaning we have is to replicate our genes. That's all there is. If there is a God, then whatever meaning we have comes from what he designed us for. Now, that doesn't mean that, by the way, he could have designed us through evolution. That question doesn't interest me, okay? The question, though, is, if there is a God, what did he design us for, And that's a question that, is bigger than this video. But you see how this is a very important question. It's a very simple question, but it's also important. What gives our life meaning, obviously. And, yeah. So I would love to, if Mouthy, if you ever hear this video, I would love to make a video on that next question, part 2 of your first video. What really gives our life meaning? And the answer to that question, he's saying that what we focus on, that's when life has meaning. Well, that does make sense in a way, because, when you're doing something that's important, you're focusing on something, doing something, then, your meaning at that purpose is to do that thing, whether it's, whatever you're focusing on, whether it's learning how to ride a bike or, doing something, that's what gives your life meaning. But, there's different layers of meaning, and, I don't think anyone's meaning is to be used by Facebook to, increase their profit margin. I agree with you there. I would like to talk more about what meaning means and where we draw our meaning from and the different answers to that question. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel.